I think to get New Orleans to its ideal manifestation of itself, we need to find ways to empower smaller communities that aren't necessarily up to par when you compare them to other places in the city. Um, we need to have better parks. We need to have more smaller schools for people to engage in, more neighborhood schools. We need to have a scattering of smaller businesses, not just hyper concentrated into these smaller areas that like create clear divides between wealth income. I think we need to make sure that people have the opportunity to actually engage different resources inside the city. One thing that I think is kind of messed up is that everything's kind of located, or I should say everything's kind of concentrated in specific areas. I think we need to spread that out more. We need to spread out the schools. We need to spread out the businesses. We need to offer more resources to some of the more afflicted neighborhoods so that we have more of an even spread. If you look at a map of New Orleans, it's very obvious which neighborhoods are kind of left behind. It's the Ninth Ward, the Upper Ninth Ward area, the East area. Those neighborhoods are still kind of untouched. If you walk through them, you'll see a lot of abandoned houses, and people are afraid to go to these neighborhoods, but that always baffles me because no one lives there. Like, there's nobody to hurt you, or nobody to scare you, or nobody to cause you any kind of harm. Something that I think needs to happen in those neighborhoods, we need to have more schools there, we need to have more businesses there, and we need to have less police patrolling those neighborhoods. We need to have more resources that are trying to heal trauma instead of trying to correct bad behavior, I think, in those specific areas. I mean, Katrina was a traumatic event, and from what I remember in middle school, like maybe the first 2 years, there were some effort to try to incorporate more guidance, not guidance counselors, but like, what do you call those people? I guess just counselors in general, to like help younger people who went through that process. I was going to 8th grade at the time, and then maybe 3 years later, like all of that stopped. I didn't see anybody who was specifically there to handle compounded trauma or post-traumatic stress that came from that. And this isn't something that gets fixed in a year. People don't forget about that. Trauma is generational, it's systemic. You need to make sure that you're tackling it properly so that people can heal from it. I think if you probably surveyed the city, there's a lot of people who are hopeful about things, but I think folks are still kind of depressed. And I think, I don't know, instead of attacking people when they mess up or over policing people's neighborhoods and whatnot, we need to have more resources that are like healing them, healing their trauma, trying to help them uplift themselves, or if we need to like uplift their neighborhood with them, you know. For example, I think about my own neighborhood. We have like a small park, and sometimes there's some events that goes on there. Some of the community members host things there, but it's still kind of a small area. No one really lives in the Upper Ninth Ward. A lot of the houses are abandoned, but we have a lot of police. Granted, we do also have a lot of violence, but I mean, like, prevention, not interruption. That's what I always think about. How do you prevent bad things from happening? Not wait until the wound festers and then interrupt it.